Sperm counts among Western males have fallen by over half in the last 40 years. This is an article from last year. And when I remember reading this for the first time, I couldn't help but think that there was a bit of a potential nefarious reason as to why this was occurring. And the reason I say that is many people in high places, such as the man that created the EU, or the EEC as it was formerly known as, they seem to be obsessed with race mixing. And now we're at a point in time where the likes of Jean-Claude Juncker, or even Nicola Sturgeon here in Scotland, they keep talking about we're going to need immigration, we're going to need a lot of it because we're not having enough children. You combine that with our sperm supposedly dying for no reason, questionable at best, can't help but think that there's a little more to it than how the media paints it. Nonetheless, I'll keep my tinfoil hat off briefly, but one thing to take into consideration when we look at what's just come out now, a baby bust. Watershed as birth rates in UK in nearly half of world's countries plunge, forcing more reliance on immigration, report warns. And guess what? Nearly half of world's countries, they just so happen to be mainly European. Imagine my shock. Now, there's multiple reasons as to why the birth rates are falling. Everything from making it near enough fucking impossible to be able to afford children, the lack of incentive to want to start a family, traditional roles, traditionalism in general being obliterated in recent times. Feminism obviously comes into play, a big part of it. And of course, abortion is another one, I would say. I did find that strange when Ireland legalised abortion, and at the exact same time, their birth rate is on the fringes of being below replacement level. Now, that really does tell you all you need to know as far as I'm concerned, that there's something there's something at play here. Just who's behind it, I don't know. But the people that pushed for the legalisation of abortion in Ireland clearly didn't give a shit about the fact that their population was on the fringes of decline. They didn't care about that. No, they didn't care. Because they've got the solution, and that's immigration. And I can't help but feel that it's a little bit convenient timing, to say the least, or just conveniently perfectly placed for the people that were obsessed with the idea and the notion of multiculturalism, diversity, and race mixing in general. Everything is falling perfectly into play. If they'd come along 40, 50 years ago and said that this would be our future, meaning mass immigration to the West, etc., it would have been met with controversy probably, and would have been met with people like opposed it. Fast forward 50 years, and we've got no fucking choice now because of things that are out of our control, apparently. Questions need to be asked. Fertility rates falling for decades mean countries are now only growing because of stagnating life expectancy increases and migration. The world is reaching a watershed where nearly half of its countries, including the UK, are in the midst of a baby bust, with birth rates below levels needed to maintain population size. And have you once heard a politician come out and say, or put plans in place to incentivise the people within these countries where this effect is happening? Have you heard them once try to incentivise people to have more children? Oh no, they openly acknowledge that our birth rates are supposed to be on the decline, but they don't care because it's fine, we'll just get some immigrants in. Surely your first point of call would be to, at the very least, try to get your people to have more children in order for your country, your culture, etc., to not fizzle out into nothing, potentially. It seems that the people that are in the positions of power that could effectively create change seem to be either turning a blind eye or they're doing their job. One of the two. The annual Global Burden of Disease study shows that 91 of 195 countries now have fertility rates below replacement level, currently 2.5 births on average for every woman. The report published on Thursday also showed that in 2017, global life expectancy increases stalled, meaning migration will become ever more important to maintain population and economic growth. Oh, how convenient. One thing that they keep saying this all the time, that we need immigration for our aging population to fill the gap in the workforce, etc. They never ever seem to acknowledge, even though they know it to be true, that with the rise in technology, a lot of people in the next 20, 30 years, I would say, a good portion of people are going to be out of a job. You're already seeing it now in supermarkets. So with less people going to be working because they're going to be shafted by fucking machines, where's the logic in getting more people in that could effectively be shafted by machines? Unless, of course, it's because it's all about your race mixing. And I'm not even saying this with any, what you could deem as racist or whatnot. I'm just genuinely astonished at how perfectly things seem to be turning out for the people that wanted this in the first place. It's almost as if it's going to plan. In the UK, where life expectancy flatlined last year for the first time on record, experts suggest this could further stoke the anti-immigration tensions that led to the 2016 vote to leave the EU. Well, there you go again. Right there. It's common knowledge that there's a rise in anti-immigration sentiment. So instead of creating more tension and controversy and animosity for the next God knows how many years, you think that you'd put that on the back burner where you tried at the very least to incentivize your people to have children. But you, as I said, and I keep saying, they don't care. As far as I'm concerned, they do not care. I have seen nothing from any of them to suggest otherwise. All they keep doing, every article that's talking about this is doing the same thing. They just keep trying to justify the need for more immigration. That should be your plan B. First and foremost, you should be trying to get your people to have children. And if that fails, then fine, fall back on immigration. But the fact that they won't even attempt to make their people have children, whether that be through financial incentive or even just telling them that there's a potential for their culture and their race, etc., to fucking die off, instead of that, let's just open the door, let some more people in. We know there's a rise in anti-immigrant sentiment. Let's just make it worse. It's also likely to exacerbate the brain drain for developing nations, with migrants already making up a disproportionate slice of the healthcare workforce in the UK as it tries to look after its ageing population. The statistics represent both a baby boom for some nations and a baby bust for others. Christopher Murray, director of the Institute at the University of Washington, said, the study shows that in 2017 the UK's fertility stood at 1.7 births per woman. Of 104 nations still in baby boom, there are 59 where birth rates are above 3 children per woman on average. And lo and behold, countries in Africa and the Middle East, where women's education and employment, blah blah blah, account for 47 of the 59. Just the same countries where we're seeing a mass spike in immigration from. Of course, there's that Marrakesh agreement. That's, if true, I mean, Europe's fucked anyway, to say the least. Man. We're now getting to that watershed moment where half the countries in the world are now below replacement levels for birth, and it just so conveniently happens that the majority of those countries are all European. It's very likely that will continue for the foreseeable future, and the way high-income countries have been dealing with low fertility is through migration. See what I mean? Every single one of them is just migration. That solves things in your economic fucking world. Granted. And that's all these people care about to an extent. But they do have, you think they would have, to some degree, a level of concern at these supposed revelations. Not one though. None of them. None of them have come out and tried to, right, we're going to have to try to encourage more births. Not one of them. And that's where I find it very difficult to believe. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon, for example, from Scotland, she keeps banging on about needing the rights to immigration, which Westminster currently have the rights over. She's never going to get the rights to immigration, I wouldn't have thought. So instead of spending the best part of 3 years moaning about not having rights to immigration to solve our aging population, etc., etc., she could have gone to a plan B, which was, I know it's a bit outlandish and all that, but, suggest to the Scottish people to have more children, incentivise them if need be, or whatever you will. The fact that wasn't her plan A tells you all you need to know as far as I'm concerned, but nonetheless, she spent the best part of 3 years moaning about the potential dangers that are in front of us if we don't have more immigration. And in that time, she could have put things in place to incentivise, at the very least try anyway. That's all I'm asking for. Why not try? None of that. Which, to me, seems that it's more about immigration than it is about solving some so-called aging population. Theresa May has maintained a government ambition to cut net migration below 100,000 and clamp down on low-skilled roles. Independent has been running its Drop the Target campaign, calling for the government to abandon the pledge, which will harm the country's economic prospects and leave the vulnerable worse off. A report by the Migration Observatory, the Uni of Oxford, estimated that migration has accounted for 55% of population growth since 1991. Yes. Yes. A fuck ton of immigration. And a lot of it we didn't ask for. This has kept Britain out of the group of 33 countries, including Greece, Spain, Romania and other EU states that the Lancet report shows have been in overall population decline. In the same period, the UK's populace has risen by 3 million, according to the study. But the report warns many other countries are also likely to have decreasing populations as the size of their birth cohorts reduces. And what are they doing to combat this? Fucking nothing. That's my point. I think it's I know right about this whole thing. I mean, it's an ongoing narrative. It's been going on for a couple of years now, especially. Remember the refugee crisis? Then they started to say, when the refugee crisis started to become the migrant crisis, and with that came the understandable rejection or disapproval, to say the least. So they changed their tune and started saying that this could be a potential solution to our aging population. So all the months that they spent trying to quell the migrant crisis, for them just to turn around and say to you all, well, we need them now because of our aging population. So what were you doing for the last 2 years when you were pretending to hold discussions to quell the migrant crisis then? You weren't doing fuck all. You weren't doing a thing. Because you knew, of course these people knew, that our populations are supposed to be on the decline. That's if they are. As I said, the measures that they're putting in place to combat this potential disaster doesn't really add up as far as I'm concerned. Priorities ain't in order at all. But he warned that these arguments are being undermined by increasingly outlandish anti-migrant rhetoric and conspiracy theories. Fucking hell. In France and Italy, a far-right conspiracy is becoming almost mainstream. It claims that there is a UN-backed conspiracy to undermine workers' rights through migration. It's quite interesting that there are emerging stories which neutralise the arguments in favour of increasing numbers of workers to provide for the welfare state and pay for pensions. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good of you to say that. But I mean, I wonder how many of these Cali migrants, etc., are paying into the pension scheme, etc. They keep referring to the best of the best in regards to immigrants, but it's not the full picture, is it? At all. And I would say there was a different conspiracy theory that you've deliberately ignored, and that is the white replacements or white genocide, whatever you will. And I'm not entirely sure what the fuck's going on, really. But one thing is abundantly clear. There is a case to be made. Peace.